Welcome back to Two Doctors Homestead. My name is Daniel, and this is another episode of Prepper Pantry Pick of the Week. I looked, we've been doing this for about 6 months now, and we do enjoy taking you shopping with us and just showing you the prices, what's on the shelves, and then of course every week we pick out one item and then talk about how it might be a good fit for a long-term food storage pantry. So if you've been watching the videos, we appreciate it, and if you're new, well, welcome to the channel. Feel free to jump in, click around, and of course let us know what you think of the videos always. So this week's pick of the week was granulated sugar. I want to not just talk about the sugar, but also kind of the rumors around the potential shortages of sugar, if there would to be any, and I want to jump into that, right? So this is the 25-pound bag of great value sugar from Walmart. We got it for $17.94. Generally, the bigger bag is going to be a little bit cheaper. So what do you get in the bag? So 25 pounds of sugar is 1,418 servings at 30 calories per serving for a total of 42,540 calories in the bag. So there's a ton of calories in the bag. If you were to live on a 1,500 calorie diet, and I know we go through this every time, 1,500 calories is considered the starvation level, right? So you want to try to stay above 1,500 calories. 2,000 calories a day is considered the standard diet. And if you've seen a bunch of these videos, you're probably tired of hearing me say that. But I want to throw that out there. I'm not just making up numbers. Your food intake, your calories you need to survive is going to depend on you, your physique, and a lot of other factors. So not everyone needs 1,500 calories. Not everyone needs 2,000 calories. You might need more or less. So that's my disclaimer there, right? But why I say 1,500 calories? So at 1,500 calories, this is 28 days of food for one person. At 2,000 calories a day, this is 21 days worth of food for one person. So I'm not saying you should live entirely on sugar, probably shouldn't. You can eat it raw. You can certainly use it in a lot of recipes. Not saying live on it exclusively, but 25 pounds of sugar is 21 days worth of food for $17.94. So at 1,500 calories, that's 64 cents a day. At 2,000 calories, that's 85 cents a day, right? Nutritional information, if you look at it, sugar's pretty simple. It's sugar, right? It comes with sugar. There's sugar in there. Each serving's 8 grams of sugar and, of course, 30 calories per serving. So the best by date, I looked it up. They say generally manufacturers do a 2-year best by date on the package for quality control, right? Maybe they don't want to sell 10, 15, 20-year-old sugar. They might be, that's not what they say on the package. Sugar is realistically an indefinite shelf life. It will last forever as long as it's stored relatively properly, right? Sugar itself is a preservative and is antimicrobial, right? It's resistant to microbes. The reason I say store properly, you certainly don't want it to get wet, and you generally don't want to store with oxygen absorbers. If you put oxygen absorbers in with your sugar, you're likely to get a brick, right? And you don't want a brick of sugar. You want your nice, tasty little sugar crystals coming out, right? So if you make a reasonable effort to store it properly, it'll probably last forever, or at least 2 years according to the manufacturer, right? Likely much longer. I mentioned it is a preservative, right? It's self-preserving, but it's also a preservative. You see it in things like jellies and jams. Also, you can use it to preserve meats, right? There's sugar-cured meats, sugar pork, that kind of thing. So you have an abundance of calories at a pretty good price, right? 64 cents a day, 85 cents a day. It's cheap, it's a preservative, it's calorie dense, which is why you see it in a lot of things. And certainly a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, right? So you can add it as an ingredient to maybe take something that might not be particularly good to eat, tasty, and boom, it's full of sugar. It's nice and tasty. The kids love it. So you know why it's an ingredient, why they put it in everything. Has a lot of value in that sense as a preservative, as a source of calories. Once again, probably don't want to eat it out of the bag. And if you're a diabetic or anything like that, you may have some very good medical reasons to avoid tons of sugar, right? And I'm not saying eat sugar. I'm saying from a long-term food storage pantry, it's both a preservative and a source of calories, and it is low cost. So there certainly are advantages to having sugar in your pantry, right? Don't have a pantry of just sugar. Don't just eat sugar. But as I said, it's a source of calories and a preservative. So having kind of gone through that, a lot of stuff you can make with sugar, candies, caramels, you name it, put it in anything, put it in your Kool-Aid, whatever you're going to do. I wanted to jump into the situation with India just a little bit. I did some reading on it where I could, did some math, look around the overall kind of geo-economical impact, right? And what India is saying right now is they're putting some controls in place around, 4Q23. So I think around October, they're reevaluating their exports. And there may be some restrictions on exports now and going into 2024, right? They think they're exporting too much sugar. So Is that going to affect us, right? Is that going to affect people in America? I would say primary impact, no. And by primary impact, I mean you're probably not going to see a shortage of sugar on the shelves as sugar, right? America only imports about 15% of the sugar you see in America comes from other countries, so 85% is produced locally. And India itself is only the third largest sugar producer in the world, behind Brazil. And so Brazil produces 28 metric tons. India is third largest at 6.5 metric tons. So Brazil's 28 metric tons exported per year. India exports 6.5. So as the third largest, right, it's not a huge impact directly, and we only import 15% of our sugar, right? So I'm not expecting a major shortage, even if they stopped exporting entirely. Countries like Indonesia, Bangladesh, Malaysia, Sudan, Somalia, and the UAE are actually the ones that import sugar from India, so they could see an impact in terms of the sugar they have available in their country if they're the ones that normally buy from India, and India is not going to export as much, if any at all, right? That's a decision they have to make. So I say it's not a primary impact to people in the U.S. A secondary impact is possible, and what I mean by that, you'll probably have plenty of sugar on the shelves, I would expect. Now, if there's products that you buy that are made in Indonesia, Bangladesh, Malaysia, Sudan, Somalia, and UAE, if you have a food product you're eating that came from those countries, well, they might not have the sugar to put in it, right? And I don't know specifically how many food products we import from, that part of the world, but I could see if they're not able to get sugar, they're not going to have the sugar to put in the products to export the products. So it certainly can impact people. I'm not expecting a huge impact. So even though we got the 25-pound bag of sugar, I don't know that you really have to panic and go out and buy a bunch of sugar, right? We were concerned about rice shortages. There was still rice at the store, right? Whenever these things happen and the supply chain starts shifting around and people stop doing exports, there's always the concern, what's going to happen? Is it going to trigger shortages? And there is a thing from my MBA days of it's called product substitution, right? So for example, if India stops exporting rice, well, if there's less rice on the market, the people that normally ate the rice are going to have to eat something else, right? So if there's 1 million people that eat rice every day and half the rice is gone, that 500,000 people are going to have to eat something else, whether it's beans or ramen or something else, right? They still need their food. So now you have 500,000 people that were used to be eating rice are now going to switch to a different product substitution. Maybe they start eating ramen. Well, that then impacts the amount of ramen that's available, and you end up with this kind of domino effect. So now all of a sudden, with 500,000 new people trying to eat ramen, there's a ramen shortage. You're like, well, there's a rice shortage, and now there's a ramen shortage. So people that couldn't get the ramen are now going to hit another product, and you kind of have this slow domino effect, which is product substitution. But at each new product it goes to, you have some absorption, right? The market isn't always peaked. You go to the store, there's bags of sugar sitting there. So even if there's 10%, 15%, which I don't think there'll even be that much, less sugar in the U.S., how much sugar is already available, right? Are we really using all of the supply? And my answer is probably not. So when you're looking at things like India, cutting sugar exports, not a big deal for us, maybe a big deal for some people, and there could be that trickle down, right? If there's products those countries produce that then get exported and they don't have the sugar, right, that could trigger things. You don't know when product substitution is going to kick in, when the dominoes start falling. This doesn't seem like a domino effect for us necessarily. So I hope that helps out. I wanted to jump in, whenever you hear about shortages, everyone freaks out. You get all the videos on YouTube and everyone says run to the store. I don't think this is one of those cases. So I hope that helps out. Once again, thank you for watching, and we appreciate you.